Welcome to episode 132 of the Quick Time Event Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, John.
E.
The Quick Time Event Podcast is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. If you like what you hear, you can find us live on twitch.tv/QuickTimeEvent_ every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or on all of your favorite podcast services all across the internet shortly after the live show ends. This week on the Quick Time Event Podcast, we have a lot of news to talk about. It was a week of scandals, even. Scandalous. Scandals all over the place. It's the scandal edition of the Quick Time Event Podcast. We're going to be talking CD Projekt Red. E3 is back in the news. Google, Anthem, Ubisoft, and more. So much news to get to. But before we do any of that, John, how was your week? What have you been up to?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. I played more Tales. I think I'm gonna play it until I'm done with it. I don't think I'm gonna give up on it. I've gotten to the point where like I have solved the original problems, and now I'm discovering that there's a lot more issues with the world as a whole. It is kind of, and I don't think I talked about this here, but like it's kind of annoying, I think is the word I want to use.
Yeah.
Where they're like, hey, you stumbled upon this town that has this like gigantic issue. Nobody knows how to solve it. This person who's like a higher up and should know everything is off trying to figure it out. Oh, this little kid that you ran into knows the solution and nobody believes him. Oh, the solution just required you to go get like 3 things from this nearby forest. Oh, it all worked out.
Oh,
okay.
Good.
This problem is now solved. Please move on to the next problem in the next town.
So
it's like, what?
They're asking you for like the dumbest of fetch. Like that's like the fetch questiest fetch quest.
Yeah.
That ever fetch quest.
I'm like, I get that they're doing world building and they're explaining little bits like piece by piece, but it just feels overly simple. Like I feel like they could make, I don't know, put something in here that's going to be a long-term thing. Like maybe not a long-term problem, but like it feels very wrapped up, which I guess is good. But it makes me wonder, like at this point in the game where I just beat the like original 2 quest lines basically.
Yeah.
I feel like I could leave it at this point if I wanted to, like if I wasn't having fun, and I wouldn't feel like I was missing out on anything. Like the story it's resolved. Cool, I did it. It's a very weird thing where there's not like some maybe like a little more obvious underlying plot line that's going to be going throughout the whole game.
Sure.
It just feels very simplified.
And this is a game that is like really well regarded. You're Vesteria, right? That's the one you're playing. That was the one that was an exclusive on the Xbox 360, and it's a lot of people's first entry into the Tales series, and a lot of people hold it in high regard. I wonder if they only do that because of just the barren wasteland that exists on the Xbox platform as far as JRPGs are concerned. Like if you own an Xbox, this is the only thing that you really had for an entire...
This is your standard. This is your bar.
Sure. And like, I mean, it's like, it's not a bad game from what, I mean, like, I'm sure it's not a bad game, but like...
I'm having fun with it, but like, I'm having fun with it mostly because of the characters and their interactions. The plot so far is like baby's first JRPG.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's just like, if it's not... I mean, I guess it was good because, it was filling a dearth of content that the Xbox didn't have.
Sure.
So like in some respects, it was like, it deserves the praise it got, but when you put it into the context of other games that were coming around coming out around that time, like Persona 4, like I don't know what Final Fantasy was coming out at that point, but like there are other JRPGs that were doing it better.
Yeah, for sure. And granted, this is all said with a grain of salt because I have not beaten the game. And if it truly is like a 50 to 60 hour game, I'm somewhere between, I'd say, a third and a half Probably closer to the third mark. But like, I still expected things to be a little more, I don't know. I figured I would understand what I'm trying to accomplish. Because like I said, I accomplished the thing that they told me to do from the start. And now what? Like there have been little tiny occurrences and hints as to what might happen next, but like or like unanswered questions that I still have. But not nearly as many as I would normally have at this point in this kind of a game.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's really a trope there. Like as far as like JRPGs are concerned, like I mean, you think about. I guess my experience with JRPGs are really with Final Fantasy and Persona. And with Persona, it's really clear what you're doing from the start of those games through the entire plot, essentially.
Sure.
Final Fantasy, I think, is a little bit more nebulous, but with that, I feel like you start out doing one thing, and then the world is not as it seems. So, like, things keep compounding upon itself to get you to the end of the plot. But it's not like...
Sure.
The thing at the end is what you started out on, but it's also not like everything was wrapped up. It's like everything keeps building upon itself until just everything is out of control, and then you have this situation to deal with.
That's what I expect. Like, I expect things to, as I discover a new problem, sure, I can solve it mostly, but like, give some kind of teaser or hint as to what the overall problem in this like society is or whatever. And I don't really feel that quite yet. I feel like everything is very piecemeal, where I go to one city, I solve the problem in the city, and I can leave that city and just be fine. So
I don't know what the fuck just happened. Sorry if that just broke all of your eardrums on Twitch.
Rip.
But sorry. Were you done with that?
Basically, yeah. I'm still having fun with it. I'm going to beat it. It is not as complex as I was kind of expecting going into it. At least not yet. Like I said, that could change at the drop of a hat. They could be like, hey, you just finished the tutorial.
I don't get the sense that it will. Based on the very minimal amount of time that I put into Tales of Zestiria, I kind of feel like it's just like a generic... I hesitate saying generic because there are cool aspects of the world.
Sure.
It just feels like just kind of cookie cutter. Like the entire thing to me just feels cookie cutter because, and maybe this is unfair, but I didn't grow up with that series, and the other series that I have to judge it off of are just, they're better.
They're the pinnacle. They're what people think of when you think of this genre.
Yeah.
So, what else did I do? Oh, I played Jackbox Party Pack 7. Was that the most recent one?
They come out with at least 2 a year. I have no idea what we're on now.
Well, regardless, I think it was 7. And that has some pretty fun game modes. I think if we do any Jackbox next year, we should look into doing that, or this year. I did not, unfortunately, start the Marvel movie marathon. The person I was supposed to watch it with wasn't very clear on what the plans were for this weekend.
That's fair.
So, otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. I think that covers it. I finally got past episode 300 of One Piece, so basically at the 1/3 point. And that's just going to go on forever.
Yeah. I did.
How about you? What'd you do?
I did watch Marvel movies. So we are now past Avengers. We just watched Thor: The Dark World, which, similar to my experience with Age of Ultron when we rewatched that 2 or 3 weeks ago, I feel like I got more out of Thor: The Dark World than I did the first time I watched it. However, Thor: The Dark World does not hold up anywhere near as much as Avengers: Age of Ultron. It is still... I would go as far as to say this is by far the worst movie in the cinematic universe.
Oof.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, there's got to be a worst.
Yeah, right. And I mean, the
Like,
worst
it
is
just,
like,
there has to be.
it's probably a 6, like a 6 out of 10. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a bad movie. There's
Popcorn movie.
Sure.
Where you're just like, I'm just watching this because I really don't know what else to do, and
Yeah.
it came on the TV, whatever.
I don't think there's not really any bad acting. There's not like, there's like a little bit of cringy dialogue. And I don't know that I've seen very many Natalie Portman movies that aren't Star Wars or the Thor movies.
Sure.
I kind of feel like Natalie Portman maybe just isn't a very good actor. Because I mean, the two
good
things.
Good thing we didn't put her in our Borderlands.
The two things I know Natalie Portman from are the Star Wars prequels and now the Thor movies. And her dialogue in both of those they're terrible. Like, the cringiest dialogue of maybe any like high profile movie is in Star Wars Episode 2 between her and Anakin when they're on Naboo and they're fawning over each other. Like, it's so horrible. And there's some of that in Thor too.
So two things. Is that Natalie Portman's fault or is that the writer's fault?
I'm just saying, I don't know that it's Natalie Portman's fault. I'm not blaming her. However, the two things that I know of that she is in are like this. And this problem doesn't span the entirety of both of those things. Like Star Wars Episode 3 even, the dialogue was much better than it was in Episode 2. And I guess Natalie Portman was in Episode 3 too, but obviously the original trilogy didn't have bad dialogue, and the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy, was well written too. The story you can argue about, but like the dialogue was fine. The MCU, by and large, great writing. Maybe just the guy that wrote these lines for Thor, maybe it was one dude. Like, maybe he's the problem.
Maybe.
But
what are your feelings on? I'm gonna list two movies. I'm guessing you've seen one. I'm not so sure you've seen the other, but I think that it was very critically acclaimed. What are your feelings on Black Swan?
Did not see it.
Okay, that's the one that I figured. I didn't see it either, but I've heard. I think
that was very popular when it came out.
It won. Did it win Best Picture that year?
I don't know.
I think it was nominated. I just don't remember if it won.
I remember everybody talking about it, but I did not see it.
Yeah. The one that I have seen, and I'm pretty sure you've seen. What were your thoughts on her character and acting in V for Vendetta? Or has it been too long?
It's been way too long. I don't remember her being in that movie. Honestly, that was a bus movie. I think I watched that on a bus somewhere.
Okay.
And obviously, when you're watching something on a bus, you're paying 30% attention to it usually.
Yeah. And even if you did give it the 100% attention, you're getting 30% of the movie. So like,
sure, exactly. Yeah, because it's a small little screen. I guess it was Natalie Portman, but I don't remember that because her face kind of looks like every face. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, that's a movie that a lot of people like, but I think a lot of people like that movie because of its edginess.
Sure.
I don't know that it's because it's actually a good movie. I think it's just because like it's remember that? Remember how like fucking deep that was, man, when we were in high school?
Yeah, it's that whole I'm almost 18. I know everything. This movie is my Bible.
Let's take down the government. It's just like, I mean, Pulp Fiction I like a lot, but Pulp Fiction is similarly in that category. What was that movie with those two? It's those two guys. They're like brothers. I think they're two Irish brothers. It's another similar movie like that where what was that movie called? It's like the brothers something. I don't know, whatever. But it's like, edginess. Like it's a dark story and there's supposed to be hidden meaning. There's an author that like writes almost exclusively. Who's the author of Fight Club? Chuck Palahniuk or something like that. Like all of his books fit this category where it's just like edginess for teens who think they know everything.
You got it. Chuck Palahniuk.
Yes. I remember everybody fucking loved his books when I was in high school.
Sure.
And I was just like, I can't No. I'm not getting in on this train.
That's more than fair.
So yeah, we're continuing our watch through of Marvel. I'm gonna stop saying stuff about WandaVision because at this point it's very spoiler heavy. But there is a moment in the most recent episode of WandaVision that like is quite literally universe changing. So it's pretty fucking cool. But yeah, continuing our way through Marvel, we'll watch WandaVision and probably Iron Man 3 tomorrow. And yeah, it's going a lot faster than I thought it would. Like there aren't as many Marvel movies as I kind of thought, like remembered there being.
Yeah.
Because we're almost halfway through and we've only been doing this for 2 weeks basically. So. And
it doesn't sound like you've been like every night watching 3 movies.
No, it's like 2 or 3 a week probably.
Yeah, that's a fair and decent rate at which to go.
Sure. So Marvel Cinematic Universe. We also got I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but the trailer for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier dropped.
Oh, okay.
And it's a really cool trailer. It's totally different, obviously, from what WandaVision is. It looks much more like a typical Marvel movie kind of trailer. But it's loud, it's bombastic. Like there's a lot of ribbing and just like banter between those two characters, which is exactly what I wanted from the start. I just wanted like this buddy cop movie where they're like just dicks to each other the entire time, basically. And that looks like what we're getting. So really excited for that once WandaVision wraps up here in the next couple of weeks. Can't believe we're already at the end of that. We got, I think, 2 or 3 episodes left of one because there's 8 episodes. Last week was episode 5 last week was 4. So I guess we have another month left.
Okay.
And then other than that, it's really been a lot of Apex Legends, playing lots of Apex. Kind of getting my fill. I decided I bought the season pass because the new season just started last week.
Yeah.
So I bought the season pass, unlocked the new hero, and just have been putting some time into that. It's mostly because I didn't connect with the Tales game, so I didn't feel like I really wanted to force myself to play that.
Yeah.
And there's only another week left until Persona 5 Strikers comes out, so this is a good like filler game.
Sure.
Lots of fun though.
Break up the Overwatch play.
Definitely. I kind of feel it's weird. Like I got my silver border on Overwatch, and I kind of feel like I need to just chill.
Take a breather.
Yeah, like I don't feel like up until like all the way through lockdown, I felt compelled to play Overwatch. Like almost every day, I'm like, I want to go play Overwatch. And like, after 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I got the silver border, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want to play Overwatch right now.
Yeah, take a little break. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, the Overwatch, or not the Overwatch, the Blizzard, Blizzard put out the BlizzCon schedule for BlizzCon Line. BlizzCon Line is what they're calling it.
Hate that name.
That's next Friday is when BlizzCon Line starts, and I think it's 2 days. There's an opening ceremonies kind of live stream at I think 5 p.m. Eastern time next Friday. I might stream it. I don't know. I might co-stream that depending on I guess what time I wrap up work. I'll tweet about that if I'm going to do it. You can join too if you want to. But so BlizzCon Line starts next Friday, and they put up the schedule. And for this event, they have like 6 channels basically that are going to be streaming content, one for each of their games essentially. So there's like a Blizzard channel, World of Warcraft channel, a Diablo channel, an Overwatch channel. StarCraft, I think, is in there too, and then maybe one other one. Yeah. And it's all basically programming for that game or whatever. So, like the StarCraft one, obviously, there's no new StarCraft coming out, but there will be like panels with like voice actors or like storyboarding and that kind of stuff. So there's like actual like panel content, like real convention content going on.
As if you were there, but you're not.
Sure. And the Overwatch 2 channel, the content is really lacking. There's been a lot of, so prior to a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of speculation that Overwatch 2 was coming out this year. A lot of people actually thought that Blizzard was just going to shadow drop it at BlizzCon. And based on what we're seeing on the channel, that is definitely not happening. And
or it's a red herring. They're like, oh, you know what? No one will suspect if we leave it pretty blank.
You're not wrong.
Let's leave it blank so that they can go and play.
The new rumors, though, are that it's not even coming out this year, which is a very bad thing for that community, I think. Because after last year's BlizzCon, last
2
year's
years ago, BlizzCon, you mean? Last year would have been Corona. Was it canceled because of COVID?
I don't remember. Is BlizzCon always in the spring?
I don't know.
For
some reason, I don't think it is, but
it would have.
I mix up on the con.
That's the thing. It would have been BlizzCon 2019. You're right there. It would have been BlizzCon 2019, but I don't remember if BlizzCon was like early or like really late 2019, or if it was early in 2019.
So BlizzCon 2020 was canceled entirely. BlizzCon 2019 was November 1st through November 2nd. That's what I thought too.
Yeah, so late 2019 is when BlizzCon happened. So basically a year ago, give or take.
It looks like it's usually in November.
Okay, so that checks out.
2018 was also very start of November. Same thing with 2017.
Sure, that checks out. So when they announced Overwatch 2 at BlizzCon 2019, so about a year ago, at that time, I don't think they showed off Echo there, but they basically said that we're getting one more hero, and then there's going to be no more heroes until Overwatch 2. If that's still the case, we could be going almost 2 whole years, over 2 years even.
Without a new hero.
And we've gotten a couple of maps, and they might still release a couple maps here and there or something, but like, maps aren't enough for that game. Not when Apex Legends and Fortnite and Warzone and all of these other games are releasing battle passes and seasonal content every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, to keep a community and a game engaged for an entire year with no content is going to be a really tough sell, especially when like we're all fatigued on these events. Like, ever since the game came out in 2016, we've had the same schedule of events. It's always, Lunar New Year, Anniversary, Archives, Summer Games, Halloween, Christmas. It's the same events over and over and over again, and they never make new ones.
Yeah.
And like, to have that happen for a whole nother year with no hero drops, they're probably minimal maps, that's going to be tough. So I honestly, if Overwatch 2 is not coming out this year, I really hope that at this BlizzCon line opening ceremony thing, they come out and they change what Overwatch 2 is supposed to be. Like, I would rather them come out and say, okay, Overwatch 2 is not really Overwatch 2 anymore. It's like, here is a campaign that you can pay for, and then we're just going to continue rolling out the multiplayer stuff periodically like we always have.
Yeah. That sounds like a good plan.
Because essentially that's what they're doing. Like, okay, so let's say we get 4 or 5 new heroes with Overwatch 2. If it took 2 years for them to develop it, that's basically the same thing. Like, we were getting 2 or 3 heroes a year at that point anyway. Like, just release them as you have them done. Don't wait to do it all in one content drop. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm a little bit worried. I will find out more information next Friday, but like, Overwatch might be in trouble, honestly.
A little bit. I mean, you'll have the diehard fans who will stay with it, but you'll have a lot of people leaving the platform.
There's way too much money in the merchandising piece of Overwatch for that game. That game's not going anywhere.
No.
But you might have a community problem eventually if you don't, if you aren't careful. So, yeah. That's really been it, though. Just Marvel and Apex for the most part.
Nothing wrong with that. And about, does it come out on Thursday or Friday?
Persona?
Yeah.
Friday.
Okay. So one more week where it's probably going to be the same old. And then, man, oh man, in 2 weeks, it's going to be a new you. You're going to be a changed man. You're going to be enlightened.
New February, new me.
Hell yeah.
It is almost been a whole year since we've been in lockdown.
I know.
And I say lockdown, I've been in lockdown. Like, people
you
use the
haven't
word
left your house.
lockdown, and they don't really know what the word lockdown means. Like, we have people using, I've been in quarantine for a year, but I went to Brothers, the bar, like, last week, and I went to fucking Rooster. I eat out 4 times a week and go into the restaurant. No, you're not in. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I've been in lockdown for a year, dude.
Like, I have gone out to get groceries and maybe ran to like a store or two whenever I probably could have ordered something online. But yeah, whenever I see people like posting pictures of them out at bars and like acting as if there is not a pandemic, I'm just like, what? Time out, what? Where are all of your masks at the very least? Come on.
For God's sake. So, Persona will make that anniversary a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, for sure. My phone is it is ready to just sabotage me because right before we went into like lockdown, because there was a couple weeks at the end of February, start of March where like COVID and coronavirus were going around, like those names, those terms. But a lot of people didn't really quite understand it, and like we weren't in a lockdown yet, and we were just like, "Oh, okay, this is just another flu. We don't have to take it like super seriously. It's just whatever." And so I took a road trip right at the start before like we knew that this was gonna be shit hitting the fan.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so my phone, since it's an iPhone, is going to be like, hey, check out your photo memories from 1 year ago. And I'm going to be like, thanks, I haven't really left and gone anywhere ever since. Pain.
I hate my iPhone. I hate that feature. I wish you could turn it off.
Yeah.
The only one that I ever get, I'm sure actually it's been a year since I've been to Vancouver, and I don't think I saw a recap or anything for that. The only one that I always fucking see is the pictures of my dog, Churchill.
Oh no.
Like that I took like 2 weeks before he had to be put down. Which
That's
are just
rough.
he looks horrible in them because he was dying.
Yeah, your iPhone just hates you.
I can't figure out, there's no way to turn that off. It's just like, here are pictures of your dog when he was dying. Hope you like him.
Oh.
Fuck you, Apple.
It does focus on like one thing, because I've noticed that a lot of my like trips it doesn't bring up, but my trip, and thankfully it's a good memory. my like extended weekend trip to Seattle that I took a couple years ago. It's always like, hey, remember when you did this? And I'm like, yeah, that was a good time. Thanks,
phone.
I could use that right now.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the news, because we got a lot to get through this week. Let's first start with the CD Projekt Red story, which broke...
Oh, boy.
Broke February 9th, which would have been 2 days ago, which was Tuesday. It started with a tweet from CD Projekt Red itself. Here is...
At this point, nothing directly from CD Projekt Red that's being tweeted is ever a good thing.
No, not at all.
It's been just shit upon shit of Cyberpunk for months, if not years. And now we got something better.
So here is the story. Here is the statement, rather, that CD Projekt Red put out. Yesterday, we discovered that we have become a victim of a targeted cyber attack due to which some of our internal systems have been compromised. An unidentified actor gained unauthorized access to our internal network, collected certain data belonging to CD Projekt Capital Group, and left a ransom note, the content of which we released to the public. Although some devices in our network have been encrypted, our backups remain intact. We have already secured our IT infrastructure and begun restoring the data. We will not give in to the demands nor negotiate with the actor, being aware that this may eventually lead to the release of the compromised data. We are taking necessary steps to mitigate the consequences of such a release, in particular by approaching any parties that may be affected due to the breach. We are still investigating the incident. However, at this time, we can confirm that to our best knowledge, the compromised systems did not contain any personal data of our players or users of our services. We have already approached the relevant authorities, including law enforcement and the president of the Personal Data Protection Office, as well as IT forensic specialists, and we will closely cooperate with them in order to fully investigate this incident. Let's not forget.
Yikes.
So this is this is data belonging to CD Projekt Capital Group. Let's not forget that CD Projekt Capital Group also owns GOG, which is probably the second, well, after, I guess Epic Games is probably up there now too, but one of the biggest PC game storefronts on the internet.
Yeah, where there's probably a lot of credit card information.
Absolutely. So, I mean, they're saying that they probably, to their knowledge, no personal data of players or users of their services have been leaked. But this could be a huge deal if something does turn up at some point. For like individuals, like not to mention this is definitely a shitty situation for them, but like this could impact a lot more if depending on what these people actually got access to. So let me then now move on to the actual ransom note, which they also included in here, which is written by who I assume is somebody that existed on the internet back in the early 2000s, because they're typing in leet speak here. It's written on a notepad note.
Was their idea behind this formatting like doing the internet version of cutting out letters from newspapers and magazines and like pasting them all together? Like, you know how that's how like real quote unquote ransom notes, like at least from TV crime shows and dramas and stuff. Like, was that the idea?
I don't know. I was reading on Reddit. There was a thread where someone was talking about this, and they mentioned that like some people do this to like sort of almost dismiss the fact that they did it at all. Like if we look at this and like I was kind of actually doing it. I look at this and like I'm looking down on this person because this person, like writing this, I kind of think of him as non-threatening because he's writing like a fucking idiot. But in reality, they took this information. They are very capable and we should take them seriously. But I look at this and I think, oh, I shouldn't take this person seriously, essentially.
Okay.
So here's the ransom note. Lots of exclamation points. Hello, CD Projekt. Lots of exclamation points. Your have been epically pwned. We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your Perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. We have also dumped all of your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we have encrypted all of your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contracts in games journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter even more, and people will see how shitty your company functions. Investors will lose trust in your company, and the stock will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us.
I have a lot of questions.
What are your questions?
Questions that I don't think you or anybody.
Let's speculate wildly.
So, what they did is illegal.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Who are their contacts in like journalism that they could give this information? That like, if a journalist gets this information, okay, time to go interrogate this journalist and find out where he got this information. Like, I don't understand that aspect of it. Like, you can't do anything with that. Like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
Right?
It doesn't. Again, I wonder what they have, or what they think they have, or what they maybe like. Because what they're talking about are leaking the source code to fucking journalists is not going to do shit. But
no.
If they have maybe internal memos about the state of cyberpunk, like, I mean, this whole fucking impeachment trial is going on right now. If
Sure.
there are parallels to this, if they have memos of CD Projekt being like, okay, we know this game is shit, but we're going to release it anyway because we have to, or because we want to make, we don't have to, but we want to make money, that can be damning.
Oh, without a doubt. But my question is, regardless of if this information being leaked to a journalist is damning or not, if they do that, I feel like it just exponentially increases their chances of getting caught.
Sure. I don't think that they have contacts in the journalism sphere. I think their contacts are Twitter accounts. I mean, they could just, they could very easily DM Jason Schreier and be like, hey, here's something. And they could do that with relative anonymity. Like, I don't think they're actually, I don't think they're like, they're not sources. They don't have, it's not like they're a trusted source for some reporter that's going to protect them. Like, if Jason Schreier, tweeted about this stuff, like, if he got that information, he would cooperate with law enforcement to figure out,
like,
you know.
It's like, oh, sorry, no, my friend said that I'm his trusted source, so I'm not ratting him out.
Right. No,
what?
No. I mean, Jason Schreier has been as critical of Cyberpunk, or as of CD Projekt Red as anybody. And like, if he were to get the story, I'm sure he would publish it. I'm not saying he's not going to publish it, but he's not like protecting that guy or this group or this whoever it is as a source.
He's not going to be like, Billy Joe account is the one who messaged me, but I am not selling out Billy Joe account.
Yeah. Not a chance.
All right.
Yeah.
I also want to know how this works in a law enforcement point, because like CD Projekt is based in Poland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's their GOG? Where's that based?
I assume Poland
and which,
too? I don't know.
Which law enforcement is involved? Because like a hacker could be literally anywhere. I don't really understand how the cyber crimes division of law enforcement works because of that. Like, if a crime happens, bank is robbed, you know where that bank is robbed. If a cyber crime happens, like, that person could have come from anywhere and gone anywhere.
I mean, I think
like
that's
they committed a crime at a place that isn't actually a place. Like,
sure. And I guess it depends on, again, who these people are, where they live. Like, if it's somewhere that adheres to international policy, there's probably a way to extradite them if we figure out who they are. But then we have people like the trolls, the Russian troll farms that like hack our election systems and do all this shit, and nothing happens to them. They're probably funded by the government to begin with, but like, we can't do anything about it because they're protected by their government. Like, there's a lot of questions we're probably never going to know what happened.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But
well.
Let me now pull in this article from IGN, which is a follow-up story. This article is written by Joe Screbbles over at what does IGN stand for? I always thought it was Internet Gaming News, but I don't think that it is.
I kind of thought that was it too. Maybe network?
Over at yeoldIGN.com, Joe Screbbles writes, files stolen from CD Projekt Red in a ransomware attack revealed earlier this week have reportedly now been sold in a dark web auction. Dark web monitoring organization Keeley, which previously provided The Verge with what it believes to be legitimate file lists from CD Projekt Red's engine, reports that an auction set up to sell the files has now been closed after a satisfying offer was made from outside of the form it was being held on.
What does that mean? Why didn't they give us the number?
What do you mean?
A satisfying offer?
Oh, yeah. I guess that... Okay, well, this is also written in Russian. So maybe that's her answer.
Okay.
That offer reportedly stipulates that the code will not be distributed or sold further. Cybersecurity account VX Underground also reported that it had heard the sale was completed. Speaking to IGN, Victoria Kivalevich, a threat intelligence analyst at Keeley, explained that it appears all of the files stolen, which apparently includes source code for Cyberpunk 2077, multiple versions of The Witcher 3, and Gwent, were sold in a single package. It's unclear who the buyer is or what they intend to do with the files at the time of writing. It's also unclear what files or what price the files were sold for, but reports yesterday indicate an upfront purchase price of $7 million. Kivilovich provided IGN with a translated screenshot of a separate forum, XSS, dated February 10th, in which the purported seller, Red Engine, so Red Engine is the name of the seller, says CD Projekt should pay the Blitz, which is the upfront purchase fee, because of sensitive data contained in the files. Of course, right now, we can't verify whether that is true. CD Projekt publicly said that it would not pay any ransom.
This is scary.
It is. In a report aided by Keeley yesterday, The Verge explained that the auction required a deposit to enter, with bids starting at $1 million, moving up in $500,000 increments. VX Underground also reported the source code for Gwent had been released, which could have been another showing of proof that the files were in hand before the auction. While still unconfirmed, multiple cybersecurity experts have pointed to the ransomware attack coming from a group called Hello Kitty, based on the title and contents of the ransom note posted by CD Projekt following the hack. It doesn't go into who Hello Kitty is, where they're based, or anything like that, but yeah, apparently some of the source code has been sold for upwards of $7 million.
What does somebody do with that?
That's the thing. I have no idea what they would do with, like, other than like just having it.
Yeah.
Like, the entire point is to hold, like, the ransom is for CD Projekt, but CD Projekt's not cooperating. So, like, I guess they could now just port that everywhere. They could release, like, their own version of the game on the dark web. Like, I don't think they would be able to sell it anywhere legally. I
wouldn't think so.
They could probably just put, I mean, people do that already, though. Don't people, like, isn't that what DRM's all about? Like, so that they can't put this stuff on, like, LimeWire for people to download?
I have no idea.
I guess they could now take that source code and release it and put it just as a publicly accessible free thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really know, like, what you would do with it, other than to just say that you have it illegally.
Yeah, who knows? Certainly not me. Also, real quick, Imagine Games Network. That's what IGN stands for. I did a very quick Google search.
Not what I would have went with.
No, me neither.
So, yeah. This is
sucks
horrifying.
to be CD Projekt Red right now.
It
basically.
Really does. Like, they just have not had a great couple of months, huh?
No. And a lot of it was their own fault. And this, you could argue, is kind of their own fault. At least that's what the person who stole all the shit is claiming. Like, it sounds like this is
from the
somebody
other
taking justice into their own hands kind of deal. Although at the same time, not really, because like there's a ransom. Like they're not making them apologize and get the code back. They're like, no, give me money.
I hesitate. Like, CD Projekt Red is a company. I don't think that a company can be a victim. I don't fundamentally think that that's a thing, that a company can be a victim of something. But like, they are the victim in this crime that happened. Like,
sure, yeah.
They could have taken better precautions to prevent this from happening. I don't think that if they released, because of the state of Cyberpunk, they don't deserve this at any point. There is something to say about like their network security. They probably should have done a better job with that. I've seen some stuff on the internet about the servers they were using, these Perforce servers. Apparently, these
running
Perforce,
Windows 98.
Apparently, they're old. Like, it's either an old infrastructure or somebody that's in tech. I know that we have several people that listen to this podcast that know some of this stuff better than we do. Yeah, but like, if it sounds like these Perforce servers are an older thing, or like they're not as protected as newer software or newer hardware.
Makes sense.
In some ways, like, that could be perceived as, their fault. But at the end of the day, like, people shouldn't be trying to steal stuff.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, somebody stole something from them.
Sure.
And like, in a perfect world, you could leave your house unlocked and nobody would take anything. That's not the world we live in, though. So like, it's a real weird situation.
So the hackers gave them 48 hours to respond. They responded immediately, basically, with that tweet.
Yeah.
And within 48 hours, they sold the source code. Now, they say they have other stuff. I would think that would be stuff they would want to like release sooner rather than later. I don't know if maybe they did contact journalists and journalists were like, maybe we aren't going to publish this. I think more than likely they just don't have anything in that way. Like what they have is source code. They can say they have other stuff. But is the other stuff really going to make any waves?
Yeah.
It's impossible for us to say, but like I'm guessing no. Because I mean, CD Projekt, they're kind of helpless in this situation, but they came out and they said, "Fuck it, we're not doing this."
Yeah.
Like they could have said other things, but they were like, "No, I mean, we realize this could hurt our image. We might lose money or we might lose whatever, but at the end of the day, we're going to be okay." Basically,
you almost wish that CD Projekt just pulled a big balls move and was like, you know what? We know what you stole. We're putting it out.
Yeah, we made enough money.
We're releasing it.
Here you go.
You have our source code? Yeah, well, guess what? Now everybody does. Click.
Your $7 million is worthless now. That would have been like Giga Brain level.
I would have. Man, that's the final form of the big brain.
Yes.
Galaxy. Giga Galaxy brain right there. Oh, well.
What a fucking thing to just have happen, though. Like,
yeah, really.
Especially for, and I realize that it probably happened to them because of what the state of Cyberpunk was when it came out.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically kicking a guy when he's already down, sort of.
Yeah, for sure. But also the timing is really weird because, like, how long has Cyberpunk been out now?
It came out like December. It was early December 8th,
like,
maybe.
Did it just take? I don't. Obviously, I do not know how long it takes to hack into something like this and get this kind of information.
I know it takes longer than we're in.
Yeah, but like, why now? Why? It's just a really weird timeline because you'd think that if something like this was going to happen, it would have been, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks after the game released and everything, like whenever everybody was pissed off and the internet was on fire because of Cyberpunk, like the flames have mostly been put out and I think everybody's just kind of moved on past it.
For sure. Yeah.
For at least a month now. Like I haven't thought about it in so long. So It's just really, really weird timing.
Yeah, it's kind of like they struck after the iron like cooled off. Like the iron was no longer hot. They let it smolder for a while, and now they're trying to strike it again. But I don't know. Strange stuff.
We need I already forget what his name is. We need that edgy writer to put this
Chuck,
in, make a new book out of this.
Come on, Chuck. What's the last thing you wrote?
Yeah.
Anyways. I'm gonna. If you're interested in following that story, go follow Jason Schreier because he's gonna be the person that breaks anything if anything else does come out of it.
Yeah.
So I hope there are no more updates on this story, but if there are, we'll let you know.
Yep. So will probably all of the internet.
Yeah. Next news story comes from videogamechronicle.com. Videogameschronicle.com. Written by Andy Robinson, we have E3 pushes forward with plans for a digital 2021 event. Game demos and keynotes are part of ESA's proposal, but it still needs backing of publishers.
It's alive.
It is, well, arguably it's alive.
It's not dead.
It's not dead yet.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. E3 organizer, the Entertainment Software Association, is pushing forward with plans for a digital event this summer, but it still requires the backing of major games companies.
As it always did.
Okay, I'm reading this. My microphone is over here, And the article that I'm trying to read is on a monitor over here, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense. So I moved it, and now everybody gets to have that knowledge. Now
Excellent.
I can read it
Thank you.
and not turn my head and sound like an idiot.
For you audio podcast listeners, Josh was looking to the right while his microphone was to the left.
It didn't.
And now his microphone is still to the left, but the article is on his left monitor.
Sure is. Okay. The Electronic Entertainment Expo has historically been at the center of the games industry's calendar, with companies often saving their biggest announcements for the annual Los Angeles event. However, due to the coronavirus pandemic, plans for a physical E3 in 2020 were canceled. When a proposed 2020 virtual show also failed to materialize, the ESA promised a reimagined E3 would take place in June 2021. According to E3 2021 pitch documents sent to games publishers and seen by VGC, the ESA has now outlined its proposals for this year's event, which would see 3 days of live-streamed coverage held during the previously announced dates of June 15th to the 17th. The ESA's intention is to hold multiple 2-hour keynote sessions from game partners and award shows. The ESA's intention is to hold multiple 2-hour keynote sessions from games partners, an award show, a June 14th preview night, and other smaller streams from games publishers, influencers, and media partners. The broadcast event would be supplemented by media previews the week before, as well as demos released on consumer platforms, according to the ESA's proposal. The ESA also says it will allow partner companies to remotely stream playable game demos to the media across thousands of scheduled meetings, with one-to-one assistance from developers. Many companies have used similar on-demand streaming solutions during the pandemic to allow the media to remotely play games for preview purposes. However, the E3 2021 plans still require the approval of ESA's membership, which is made up of the industry's biggest games companies and who have significant influence over the direction of the show. So, E3 intends to be back. The ESA is planning to have an E3 2021. Games publishers, the games industry itself, has not indicated whether they do or do not want to make this happen. I would assume that some event is going to take place.
Sure.
Even if they don't have the backing of all of the partners that they usually do, I assume that some will still want to be here.
Yeah. My gut says Microsoft. My gut says Microsoft will be like, yeah, we'll go. That's fine.
This is typically the only event that Microsoft is ever really at. I guess they go to Gamescom sometimes, but like they never have a big presence at Tokyo Game Show. They very rarely like make big appearances at like PAXs, or they didn't have their own event like PlayStation had PSX or like BlizzCon or anything like that. So like if Microsoft was going to be at something, this is the thing they always push. So I would say that's probably true. Like Ubisoft would be the other one that I would think for sure would want to be here.
Yeah.
But when I look at the other ones, Bethesda's already sort of being absorbed by Microsoft, so Bethesda's out. EA has moved on. Activision's never been here. Nintendo's not really been at E3 for several years.
Yeah,
now.
they've just done a pre-recorded direct for the last forever.
PlayStation wasn't there last year. Like I don't know who's left.
Yeah.
So my money is that something is going to happen. I don't know that it's going to be extensive as all the things we just mentioned. I do think some of this is interesting though, like the idea of having an award show there. That's something that's never really happened before.
Don't tell Jeff.
Especially because Jeff Keeley, there's actually E3's longtime collaborator Jeff Keeley, who quit the show last year due to a disagreement over its direction, which happened before COVID. He quit E3 before COVID because he was like tired of it. So Jeff Keeley quit E3, also launched the successful summer game event in 2020, which was that thing that happened basically all summer long. Every week there was like an announcement or something that he showed off.
He pulled a Bender Rodriguez where he was like, I'm gonna make my own E3.
Yeah.
With blackjack and hookers. And then, you know what? Forget the E3 part.
Exactly. But then that summer game event ended when I think it culminated in Gamescom, a virtual Gamescom. So like I think it was Gamescom opening night live is what they called it. which was
That
basically
rings a
like a
bell.
2-hour sort of presentation, which was like that was like basically E3 last year. So like Jeff Keeley has his own thing going on. I assume that, Jeff Keeley never just like lets stuff be. So I'm guessing he's going to want to do that again this year and make it better. So I don't know that if there's like, I don't know that E3 can survive only on Microsoft, basically.
Probably not.
I do wonder, like, they do mention like the facilitation of game demos and stuff like that. I almost wonder, because we've talked a lot on this podcast about, is E3 dead or is E3 dying? And that's something that the games industry and games media at large have talked about for a long time. I almost wonder if E3 is going to go back to being a trade show, like what it originally was back in the 90s, a trade show. It's
a place where not just gamers are not really supposed to be.
Right. It's a chance for like press to get access to games to like preview them, basically.
Yeah.
Not from the sense of like, oh, I get to see a new trailer, from a sense of like, oh, I'm covering this for a paper, I'm doing a review, I'm doing a preview, basically. Like, I kind of wonder if that's where we're going back to, where E3, the ESA can facilitate all of that, but when it comes to the actual announcements that we care about as consumers, that'll be its own thing that each developer ends up doing, or it'll be part of Jeff Keighley's thing.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wonder if the idea of the press conferences at E3 is maybe kind of doomed. We're still going to get that stuff, but it's not going to be an E3 kind of deal.
Yeah. Basically, E3 back to business. Professionals only.
E3 2 back to business.
Yeah, we might see that. I just want to know, like, at the end of the day, how are they making any money?
Does the ESA make money? I mean, I'm sure they must.
I don't know. I figured that they have to like pay the people who run the event and coordinate the event and like do all that shit.
Sure.
Unless that's just subsidized by the major like
I think it is.
Players.
I mean, how do any conventions make money, you know? Like, and I'm not talking about like conventions like PAX. I'm talking about like professional development sort of conventions.
Yeah. I don't know. I never really gave that too much thought.
Because I'm pretty sure that's all the ESA is. The ESA is not like this company that does anything. It's just like they have membership made up by these publishers, pretty much, these major game companies.
And that's where their big old bucket of funds comes from.
Sure. And the games, like the people that attend E3, the press, they pay for that. I mean, they get passes, but like they're the ones funding like the travel and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think that like when Microsoft wants to do their press conference, they have to rent that space.
Sure.
Like the ESA is not just giving that to Microsoft. That costs them something. So
that would make sense.
Yeah.
But it will certainly be interesting to see what form E3 takes this year,
Definitely.
if any.
It's kind of weird because like we're getting to the point where we would need to know, like we should probably be finding out some of that stuff soon.
Yeah.
Not just for E3, but like the what's coming for the rest of the year as far as like events and stuff. Because I mean, at this point, like we kind of know the vaccine's not going to be rolled out to the point where we're going to be able to really do anything for most of this year.
Yeah, we're not going back to normal like July 1st. That's not hate to break it to you, but that's not a thing.
And most of this wraps up by August at the latest because that's when fall starts and that's when everything comes out. So like you would think that the ESA, you would think that Jeff Keighley's, if he's going to do Summer Game Fest again, Gamescom, like all of that stuff should probably be in the works and announced relatively soon.
You would think.
Okay. Next story.
Oh boy.
Another scandal.
Another company getting kicked while it's down.
Truly. So, Andrew Sprinks is a person
Mhm.
Andrew Sprinks is what is his deal? What is his title?
I believe he is the creator.
He's the creator of Terraria, but
Yes.
is he like does he run that studio, or is he just like the lead designer, or like what's his deal?
I thought that he was just the big man in charge.
That's what I assumed as well, because he said my company's not doing business. So okay, so Andrew Sprinks, who designed Terraria, which is a game that I've not played, but I've seen fucking literally everywhere.
Yep.
One of the biggest mobile games on all of the mobile stores, has been locked out of his Google account for weeks. His Google account, which, involves his drive, his Google Drive, his Gmail address, which he's had for 15 years, his YouTube channel. All of this stuff is just not accessible, and Google is not helping him at all. So this is his tweet. This is his series of tweets. At Google. My account has now been disabled for over 3 weeks. I still have no idea why, and after using every resource I have to get this resolved, you have done nothing but give me the runaround. My phone has lost access to thousands of dollars of apps on Google Play. I had just bought Lord of the Rings 4K and can't finish it. My Google Drive data is completely gone. I can't access my YouTube channel. The worst of all is losing access to my Gmail address of over 15 years. I absolutely have done nothing to violate your terms of service, so I can take this no other way than you deciding to burn this bridge. Consider it burned. Terraria for Google Stadia is canceled. My company will no longer support any of your platforms moving forward. Goodbye and good day, sir. I editorialized that last part, but Mr. Sprinks is pissed.
I really appreciate how he was like, these thousands of dollars of apps that I've invested in are gone. All this extremely important 15 years worth of emails and documents and information is gone. My Google Drive is gone. My Lord of the Rings 4K.
Listen.
What the hell?
I just bought it. They announced it and I bought it and I was watching it and now I can't finish it. He even said like, I can't finish it. So he started it and now he's pissed because he can't watch the rest of them.
I just really like that there's like all these things that he's complaining about that I could not relate to because I am not a business owner and I don't have like just these super, super important documents and emails that are stored on Google servers. But Lord of the Rings 4K, I could get behind. Did he throw that into like appeal to the common man who is going to read his tweet?
I feel you there. I don't know how much. I mean, I assume those. I think they're the extended edition Blu-rays, or they're they're not Blu-rays because they're digital, but like they're the extended edition, which are more expensive than the regular ones. So yeah. I'm guessing that's probably like $100 or so. But like he just threw that in there with everything else. It's brilliant.
Love it.
Man, Google.
But yeah, big old yikes for Google. Hey, we're not gonna make our own. We're shutting down our game studios because there's enough games from other people.
And then
by the way,
the guy that like made one of their biggest games on the Google Play Store is like, nope, not anymore, bro. You took away my Gandalf? Well, fuck you.
Listen, I know what happens to the ring, but like,
I can't
what
watch
if they change something in the 4K version?
Oh my god. Like, again, Google, like, and this is not shocking to anybody that has ever had an issue on Google. Like, I've heard YouTubers talk about like getting locked out of their YouTube accounts or getting stupid copyright strikes for things they shouldn't have gotten striked for. And then they can't upload for like 2 weeks. It's like, okay, well, first of all, this is my livelihood and now I can't upload stuff. 2, this shouldn't have happened to begin with. And 3, no one's picking up the phone. Like, I can't reach anybody to even talk about this. And if I do reach somebody, they're just like, well, go through the process. Go through the
official channels, please. Thank you. Goodbye.
And then by the time you get through that official process, the 2-week period is up and you can post again. Like, there's no customer service.
Yeah.
And to hear that coming from a guy who makes Google a fuck ton of money because of his game.
He should get escorted to the as soon as they see his number pull up on caller ID, they're like, drop all the other calls.
Yeah.
Take this one right now.
When they see that guy, they should be like, everybody else gets to wait now.
Yeah.
If there's a person that deserves the front of the line privilege, it's this dude. Yeah. And they're just like, no. To see somebody just like drag Google like that is just amazing, honestly. Especially
it's something else.
Especially when Google just comes out last week. Literally, again, last week. This is what this is what those hackers should have done with CD Projekt. Like, Google, this is still a fresh wound for Google. They're like, okay, we shut down those studios. Oh, now we don't have another major game publisher or whatever this guy is.
And it's 100% our own fault.
Yeah. This is not them, like, they're not a victim at all. This is just them being shitty.
Yeah. Man, whoever is in charge of, like, the customer service department, if they, I only imagine that they had no idea what was going on and then saw these tweets and they were like, oh, hey, who took the call from whatever his name is?
Going back through those chat logs, trying to figure out who talked to him. So at what point, why didn't you escalate this issue here? Why didn't you escalate this to our level 2 Google brain? Because that level 2 brain needed to escalate it up to the Giga brain, but that never happened because you didn't escalate it to begin with. What were you doing? What's wrong with you?
You know what? We're gonna put a strike on your work permit, and you're gonna have a 2-week vacation.
You want to appeal it? Go through the official process.
Oof. And
you know what the worst part is? Usually when companies get called out like this, they'll respond publicly.
Yeah.
Like you're pissed off at United Airlines. You go onto Twitter and you start tweeting at fucking United Airlines like, fuck you.
Somebody will take care of
it. Give me my bag back. United Airlines 10 out of 10 times is going to respond to that tweet.
Yeah.
Google
they don't want bad PR. That's the worst thing you can get is bad PR.
Google did nothing. No word.
I could see it if they ignored like you or me.
Sure.
Like if I got locked out of my Gmail account, I'd be like, "Hey, what the hell?" And they'd be like, sorry, 2 weeks. We're not gonna dignify your tweet with a response."
But the front of the line guy, you're gonna
the guy who like is the reason, the like platinum member of the flight club. He's the guy you're gonna be like, "Nah, sorry, 2 weeks. We're no response for you. Goodbye. Back of the line."
No soup for you.
Woof.
Yeah, the whole no response thing is what got me. Because I think I read this a little late. I think it would happen like it was a day had passed before I had seen it. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked when I saw it and there was no reply from Google anywhere.
It is kind of almost nice to know that Google's customer service is just universally shitty. Because like there's a lot of things where I'm like, oh, celebrities and like these rich famous people who are in charge of all these companies, like they get treated a different way. I understand that. Like it's money talks. But like they can relate on this one thing now.
It's true.
We aren't so different, you and I.
Next article comes from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg.com.
Oh, right.
Electronic.
I forgot about that change, that career change.
Yeah, he left Kotaku. It's been over a year now.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jason Schreier writes, Electronic Arts to decide fate of Anthem game this week. He wrote this on Monday. We still have not heard anything, so if they are deciding, it better happen soon, or it's just going to be not public until they... It's probably honestly just going to be not public, and then...
Just wait until next Monday whenever you go back to this article, and it says, Electronic Arts to decide fate of Anthem game this week, ?
Anyway, Jason writes, Electronic Arts will hold a meeting this week to determine whether it will continue trying to create a new version of the failed online game Anthem, according to 3 people familiar with the matter. Anthem, a multiplayer game by the EA-owned developer BioWare, launched in February 2019 to poor reviews. In the following months, BioWare put together a small team to overhaul the game. Executive producer Christian Daly wrote 3 blog posts last year outlining some of the big changes planned. But in December, Daly left the Anthem team as part of BioWare management shakeup, leaving the project's fate in question. This week, EA executives will review the latest version of Anthem Next and decide whether to expand the team or abandon the project, said the people, who asked not to be named discussing private information. The Anthem Next team includes about 30 people. BioWare said last year people familiar with the project will need to expand at least triple that in order to produce new content and continue attempting to overhaul the game. EA has not yet indicated whether it's willing to commit that kind of budget to revive a maligned game. A spokesman for EA said the company doesn't comment on rumor and speculation, but Anthem Next includes major changes to the game's core system and user interface, the people said. It's not clear if or when these changes will be implemented if the version that's currently available to players is deemed passable. So Anthem comes out in February of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Fails spectacularly.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 whole years.
This was the game I played immediately following up Persona 5.
Yep.
Which made me go right back to playing Persona 5 again.
Yeah, you were like, oh man, Persona 5 was really fun. I think I'm just gonna take a break from it and play this Anthem game. I'll go back and play it again to get the 100%. But like, I think it's good for me to take a break and just get away from it.
I remember saying those exact words, and then I played Anthem for 3 days and went right back to Persona 5. So yeah, that game comes out. It's not only a critical, what's the opposite of success? Failure. It's
failure.
It not only is it a critical failure, it is also a commercial failure. It sells horribly. Like 2 weeks later, it goes on sale for like 50% off. And almost immediately they did we're sorry. We're sorry we made this game. We'll fix it. We promise.
Please buy it, though, for now.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to do a Canadian accent, but like it feels right when you're apologizing like this for some reason.
Fair.
So, yeah. They immediately were like, we need to fix this. We will fix it. We promise. Bye. And then they just like hung up the phone. They went and they started this little 30-person development team to fix Anthem. 30 people to fix Anthem. A year and a half later, the guy that was put in charge is just fired basically as a part of a management shakeup at BioWare. And now just like, we don't know. So they promised to fix it. Is it ever going to get fixed? If you ask me, it's not likely.
My gut instinct, based on the title of this article, where they will decide the fate of it this week, and we don't know the fate yet. My gut instinct is that they are waiting for Friday at 4:55. Call the meeting, say, hey, sorry, we gave it some thought. It's not working out. Cut the team. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. See you Monday.
Microsoft just did this a couple weeks ago. If you have bad news, you release it on Friday.
Yep.
Because then there's...
right at the end of the day.
Yeah, then there's no, the news usually doesn't really work during the weekends. If they do, readers don't really read news during the weekends.
Yeah.
However, we also saw with Microsoft 2 weeks ago that doesn't work anymore with the internet. So even if EA does put this out, I feel like it's still going to be a crapshoot. But I mean, again, at this point,
for sure,
2 years have passed. We've moved on. Like, who gives a fuck about Anthem anymore? I don't want them to fix Anthem. I thought Anthem was like, I liked a lot of Anthem. Like, the entire idea was cool. The world was kind of cool. The Iron Man suits were cool. It felt fun to fly around. There was just no story there. There was so little to make you come back. And like, we have the Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming out in May. We have an announced Dragon Age game that's probably not coming out this year, but is being developed. We know that Mass Effect is coming back after the trailer at the Game Awards last year. They have more than enough to work on at this point. I don't foresee EA funding basically 3 whole projects, which then goes back to the whole idea of creating this persistent world, Destiny-like experience to begin with. I know that this was the direction that BioWare said they wanted to go. Like, through the entire Anthem development cycle, there were like fanboys that were like, oh, EA's making them do this. And then all along BioWare was like, no, we're making this game because we want to make the game. But it's kind of telling that like EA is not willing to fund the project. Like if they're not willing to fund the project, I get it's like it's a rehab project at this point. But like,
yeah,
were they ever going to put the resources into this game for a long term like Destiny? I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, signs point to no.
But again, they have a new Mass Effect remaster coming out. They have 2 new games with Dragon Age and Mass Effect that they have announced. There's just no room for Anthem, I don't think.
No.
So I'm guessing that this is just kind of going to be it. Like, they're going to come out and say, no, we're not moving on with it. We're very sorry. Again, we have to apologize again, I guess. But like, the game is just what it is. And I think that's fine at this point. Like, I don't think anyone's still pissed off about Anthem. To be honest, I don't think anyone was pissed off at Anthem to begin with. I think it was more just disappointment.
Yeah.
Now, if Dragon Age comes out and Dragon Age is also bad, then they got something brewing.
They got some issues.
But like the Mass Effect trilogy, I think is going to come out and it's going to give them good press. Because they can't fuck up that game. Like, it's already out. We know. Unless it's just a complete bug fest. I don't know how it could be. It's an old game. Like, that's going to give them good press. And then when Dragon Age comes out, I think we're going to have a better feeling about where BioWare is at.
Sure.
Because this wasn't mentioned in the article either, but there was a story about BioWare's struggle over the last couple games with Mass Effect Andromeda and then Anthem.
Yeah.
And basically what the story was that a lot of the struggling that BioWare did was because they were floundering with their technology. They were like trying to build this engine or build what they needed on top of EA's engine to be able to make these games. And supposedly that caused a lot of issues throughout the development cycle of those 2 games in particular. Now, I don't doubt that. I also, like, this is something that most developers have to deal with at some point. Like, yeah. I don't think it's really an excuse.
You aren't special.
Sure.
You don't get a pass.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the state of BioWare is. I don't know if their future games are going to do well. I don't know. I think that gamers are still hesitant to be excited about new BioWare games after Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
But I think there's still the potential for them to recover and move on.
Yeah, for sure.
Next story is about Ubisoft. This article also comes from IGN, written by Rebecca Valentine. Ubisoft moving away from reliance on AAA releases.
Interesting. I hadn't seen this one. You okay?
We're dropping frames.
Uh-oh.
I might have to...
You have the spaceship now.
I might have to patch together the YouTube video from Twitch and then what I just started recording now. We'll find out later, and we'll keep going.
All right.
I forgot to hit record from the start. I was going to record the whole thing and stream, and I just didn't do it. So this is upsetting, but that's okay.
It's okay. You can't win them all.
No. Anyway, Ubisoft is moving away from reliance on AAA releases. The publisher says it expects long-term support for older releases, free-to-play games to play a bigger role in its revenues. I hate it when subtitles are like that. Just put the fucking conjunctions in there. Publisher says it expects long-term support for older releases and free-to-play games to play a bigger role in its revenues.
Yeah.
Ubisoft doesn't want to be as reliant on AAA games as it has in the past. It will instead look more closely at free-to-play games and its back catalog to make money. In an earnings call today following the company's Q3 financial results, the publisher said that it plans for fiscal year 2022 included 3 AAA game releases, but in the future, Ubisoft didn't want AAA games to be the focus of their business model. We said for a number of years that our normal template is to come with either 3 or 4 AAA games, so we'll stick to that plan for fiscal 2022. But we see that we are continuously moving away from a model that used to be only focused on AAA releases to a model where we have a combination of strong releases and strong back catalog dynamics, but also complementing our program of new releases with free-to-play and other premium experiences. He went on to specify that the company had a number of titles in the pipeline, naming Far Cry 6, Rainbow Six Quarantine, Skull and Bones. That game is never fucking coming out. Riders Republic and Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, and Roller Champions. He also nodded to a previously announced Assassin's Creed mobile game planned to come to China with the help of Ubisoft investor Tencent, which he said was part of the company ramping up its investment and interest in free-to-play games, especially on mobile. Mobile currently makes up about 9% of the company's total business. I'll read this next part and then we'll be good. In fiscal 2022, we will continue our evolution from a AAA release-centric model toward a model where AAA stands alongside new premium and free-to-play innovative experiences across platforms. These diverse experiences will feed on each other through complementary gameplay and business models.
Interesting.
I'm thinking I should probably cut the stream.
Okay.
I don't know why it's doing this again. Fuck everything.
Time to call a certain internet company.
Okay, so Ubisoft. What is your reaction? What's your gut reaction here?
My gut reaction is I'll believe it when I see it. Because, like, right now I doubt.
I have doubt.
I don't see them pumping the brakes on AAA titles.
The issue is I do, and I kind of hate it. So let me think through Ubisoft. Ubisoft has built its catalog on Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed-like games.
Yes.
From what I'm guessing from this, we're getting Far Cry 6 and these other games they mentioned, some of which I doubt are ever going to come out, like Skull and Bones.
Sure.
It kind of sounds like they're just going to stop making a lot of this stuff in favor of things like, I'm blanking in the name of the game. What was the battle royale they came out with that we played for like 2 hours?
Oh shit! It was on the PlayStation, right?
Yeah. What the fuck
was that? Really Hyperscape?
Hyperscape. Yeah. So they come out with Hyperscape. They come out with that stupid Tom Clancy game with Sam Fisher in it that they wouldn't shut the fuck up about. Like, and the other part is they're talking about old games. They supported Assassin's Creed Odyssey for years. They're probably going to support Assassin's Creed Valhalla for years.
Sure.
Rainbow Six Siege has been out for years, like 6 years.
Yeah.
That game's been out. I kind of feel like they're doing what Capcom did earlier, or like at the middle part of last generation, where they're just like, we're just going to keep remaking games and re-releasing games. Like, I don't know what Ubisoft is planning here, because like, I kind of feel like they've kind of given up. Like, that's my gut reaction, that they've given up. Like, Watch Dogs was something they really tried to make a thing, and it's never caught on to the level that I think that they wanted it to.
Yeah.
their other games don't sell as well as Assassin's Creed and they can't figure out how to make it happen, when maybe they just need to accept that Assassin's Creed is an anomaly. But like Far Cry's never going to sell that much. Watch Dogs isn't going to sell that much. The Division is never going to sell that much. And they're like, they have this Star Wars license now for this game they're making. They have Assassin's Creed. It kind of seems like they're going to just go off and like make these Tom Clancy games, and Sam Fisher's going to be in everything as a free-to-play mobile character in a gacha game.
I don't know. It's really tough to tell where their head is, their collective business head.
We will continue our evolution from a AAA release-centric model toward a model where AAA stands alongside new premium and free-to-play innovative experiences. So, I mean, they're flat out saying we're not going to be the same company we always have been.
Yeah.
And when you bring like, I get that free-to-play is not such a dirty word as it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that Fortnite really changed that.
For sure.
But to me, it still doesn't feel right. Especially when they're talking about Tencent. Because when I think about gacha games and I think about Tencent and I think about free-to-play, my mind goes to a bad place with microtransactions, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
So I don't know what to expect. I guess we're not seeing anything until 2023 or fiscal year 2023, which starts mid 2022.
Still a long ways out.
Yeah. But this does not instill a sense of excitement for me.
No.
As a long-time Ubisoft fan who has fallen off the Ubisoft wagon in the last couple of years, this does nothing for me in terms of bringing me back on at all.
Oh, same here. Ubisoft used to be one of my favorite studios. But that was back whenever like Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood were like new games.
Yeah. No, I've always loved Ubisoft. I loved Assassin's Creed. I loved Splinter Cell and the Tom Clancy, all of the Tom Clancy games.
Yeah.
Those have always been some of my favorite games. But they haven't made a lot of those other than, I guess, The Division, because like Ghost Recon, and that's the other thing, is the last Ghost Recon game that came out was horrible. One of the worst, not horrible as in like a horrible game. I think it was an average kind of game, but the microtransactions and the loot system and the premium, the things they keep calling premium experiences, premium currencies, they were ludicrous in that game. So if that's where they're going, I am definitely not coming along for the ride.
Sure.
I want Ubisoft to do well because, again, I've always loved Ubisoft. I just kind of liked them a lot better when they were fighting off, I can't remember the name of that company now. Vivendi. I liked them better when they were scrappy and trying to fend off the Vivendi takeover. Now they have Tencent backing them, and I don't know that I like that.
Yeah. See, my head went to, they don't change things in their games. So I don't believe that they're going to change things from a company standpoint.
That, yeah, you got a point.
Like I just, that's why I have my doubts that they're going to, I could see them delving more into these free to play premium experiences or whatever the hell. I just don't see them pumping the brakes on the AAA stuff. I mean, it would make sense because things haven't been going well, but it just doesn't fit the Ubisoft picture in my brain. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix your window.
What'd you do to my window?
It got all messed up. I shouldn't have done this. I switched from... This is a inside baseball thing, but I switched from Streamlabs OBS to regular OBS because regular OBS has it's less cookie cutter. It's like more customizable essentially.
Sure.
And
you got to know more to use it, but you'll be more rewarded kind of thing.
I don't really... It's built on the exact same thing. So Streamlabs OBS and OBS are built on basically the same system because OBS is open broadcaster software. It's an open source code basically. And so Streamlabs OBS basically runs on the exact... It looks like OBS in a lot of ways. It's just that the OBS Studio app like gives you more... Like you can customize your workspace essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not more complicated. It's just different, I guess. But
sure,
your stuff is all out of alignment.
R.I.P.
So let me do that real quick. Okay. Next story and the last story for the evening is a good news story.
Oh, finally.
I think the only good news story of the entire day.
Quite possibly.
Well, E3 is kind of that's a neutral story, but
that is, yeah. That's a we'll see how this story goes.
Our last article comes from Michael McWhertor over at Polygon.com, who writes, The Last of Us TV series casts Game of Thrones vets Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel.
Pascal!
Pedro Pascal, who said, "A man is a thinking Reid."
Oh, man. A legend. Anyways.
Rest in peace, Mr. Moroboka, the teacher from Persona 4 who just died in our Persona 4 Let's Play series. That is what that whole tangent just was about. So if you want to watch us, go watch that Let's Play series because it's really stupid.
Yep.
But that's not what this article is about. This article is about Pedro Pascal, who is starring as Joel in The Last of Us. HBO has found its Joel and Ellie for the upcoming television series based on Naughty Dog's The Last of Us. Pedro Pascal, star of the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, and Bella Ramsey, best known for her role as Lyanna Mormont on Game of Thrones, will co-star in The Last of Us as Joel and Ellie, respectively. The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline first reported the news. The Last of Us co-creator Neil Druckmann and developer Naughty Dog later confirmed the casting of Joel and Ellie on social media. Pascal, 45, is known for his roles as Oberyn Martell on Game of Thrones and Din Djarin on The Mandalorian. Ramsey, 17, has also appeared in HBO's His Dark Materials and voices the titular character of Netflix's animated series Hilda. HBO has not announced a release date for The Last of Us. The Last of Us is being adapted for television by Craig Mazin, who previously worked with HBO on the acclaimed 2019 miniseries Chernobyl. Mazin is writing and co-executive producing the series with Druckmann, co-director and writer of both The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. Naughty Dog president Evan Wells will also serve as an executive producer, alongside veteran HBO producer Carolyn Strauss, and then Gustavo Santaolalla will compose and perform the original score for both games in The Last of Us franchise. He who composed and performed the original score for both games in the franchise will also score the series. So, Neil is on board as an executive producer. Evan Wells, president of Naughty Dog, is also an executive producer. Same composer. Mazin is the director and has good credits. Pedro Pascal, Joel, Bella Ramsey, Ellie. That is the summation of that article.
Yes.
Based on my casting last week of Pedro Pascal as who did I have him as? Mordecai, I think.
I think you did. Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm pumped for this. I mean, yes, Pedro Pascal plays Din Djarin, who I think is much more like Joel than his character in Wonder Woman was, but he was also the best part of Wonder Woman, and he has range. I don't know. I'm excited about that casting decision. I can't think of anybody else that I would want to play Joel. Like when I think about Joel actors,
Yeah.
I don't really no one really comes to mind. I don't really know I don't know if this series is gonna be like a shot for shot remake basically of the first game or the second game or what they're really thinking about. Maybe
that's what I'm more curious to see what the point is.
But let me tell you, Pedro Pascal plays a mean dad to Baby Yoda, so I'm thinking he can play a pretty mean dad to Bella Ramsey's Ellie.
That's fair. That is a valid thing you bring up.
Do I think we need a Last of Us TV show? Probably not.
No.
However, if I got to pick who was making it, HBO would probably be my first choice.
Sure.
Like if this was a Netflix adaptation, fuck no.
Oh God.
No.
Cancel.
Can't wait for that. How many live action remakes is Netflix making? Aren't they making is it even Evangelion? Live or no?
Are they?
It was Cowboy. Is it Cowboy Bebop? I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
they're making a Cowboy Bebop live action adaptation. And it's just like there's no way. There's just no universe where that's good. It's not going to happen.
Anime to live action, I don't think has ever worked.
No.
Ever. They've tried it so many times.
And like so many different genres too. Like you have like a lot of shonen anime tries to get turned into live action because it's like, oh, it's like action. Yeah, action. I want to see people beat each other up.
Punch.
But like comedy anime never works.
No.
Even like animated, not true anime, but like Avatar, the Avatar movie was fucking terrible.
Yep.
It's just never gonna work. But HBO,
they just need to give up on it.
HBO has a good track record with adapting material into live action shows. We've seen that with Game of Thrones.
Yep.
We've seen that with some of their other series. They have a good track record with their original programming. So
they can if anybody can be trusted with this, it's them.
And they are up to doing dark shit. Like Game of Thrones, obviously, very dark shit happens throughout that entire series. In the very first season, you have the main character basically killed off immediately. And so, like, because of the way The Last of Us is written and because of the themes and stuff that it deals with, I think HBO is the only place that could exist.
Sure.
In a way that, like, does it justice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think this casting gives me confidence, actually, that this could turn out great. Which doesn't really happen, I feel like, for video game movies or video game adaptations of stuff.
Yeah, video game movies are also like anime movies where you just don't do it.
No.
Because it's not really... The only one that I can think of that was passable was Sonic. Every other video game adaptation movie that I've seen, I was like, no, this was a waste of my life and my money.
Detective Pikachu is also pretty good.
Oh, I still haven't seen that.
What the hell is wrong with you?
A lot of things.
Oh, man. But yeah, I don't know. I feel confident.
Is Detective Pikachu anywhere? Like on any streaming service?
No. You have to.
Yikes.
You could probably
rent it.
You could probably rent it on Amazon or something.
Just what they need. More of my money. All right. Well, I'll watch it at some point.
I think that's about it. I'm not going to lie. Ever since we started dropping frames, I feel very defeated. So I've kind of like just turned off. But we got through all the stories, so I don't really know that there's anything else to discuss, to be completely honest. Unless there's anything else you have. There's some little things that we didn't talk about that like either was posted in the Discord server or I noticed. A lot of them are just like release dates. Like we have the Ratchet and Clank release date that's now posed for June. I tweeted about this, but like I kind of wonder if that fucks with Sony's 2021 plans.
Oh, yeah.
Because Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was billed as a release window game. I mean, I guess 7 months is a release window, but like
no,
that's
it's not
really pushing it. I almost wonder if they're delaying, because Ratchet and Clank, I think, is for sure a PS5 only title, because that game uses the hard drive in a way that the PS4 could not. Like that whole entire game's systems are built on the solid state drive working as it's intended to. And so I kind of wonder if maybe they pushed it off because of the manufacturing issues. Like if they release it early, the player base just isn't going to be there. So they're trying to delay it maybe to get more consoles into people's hands. But not just that. What I was getting at initially was I kind of wonder if this now delays Horizon Forbidden West and God of War.
Yeah.
Because if we just got word that Ratchet and Clank is in June, I kind of thought Forbidden West was going to be the summer game. I don't know that that's going to happen at this point.
And you don't want to have your own first-party titles compete with themselves.
No.
That's worthless.
There's no chance that we get there's no chance that we get Guerrilla's game and Santa Monica's game in like back-to-back months in the fall.
Yeah.
I think we only get one, which means then the other one gets pushed off to 2022. So that's kind of where my head's at, is that I think that Sony has maybe delayed this game. It probably needs the time too, but it also has this other factor of let's get more consoles out into the wild. But by delaying that game, I think they also now delay their other releases.
Yeah, everything gets pushed back.
So that's just a total guess on my part, but I really can't fathom seeing Ratchet and Clank come out in June, Horizon coming out in July or August, and then God of War coming out in October or November. I don't think that's a thing. And I don't think that we're getting two of those games in the fall. I don't think we'll get like a September and an October or a September and a November.
I guess maybe they could get away with... So Ratchet and Clank's June, you said?
June, yeah.
June, July. So maybe June, September, and then December.
I just feel like December is December's such a weird month because it misses Black Friday. Like, I don't think there's a world where Sony wants to put out God of War in December.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. So that's interesting too. I feel like there was one other little thing like that was like a release date or something, but
I know we got the Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh, I think that's exactly what it was. Yeah. So we got Sonic coming in 2022. Yeah. Oh, and Jack Black is cast as Claptrap in the Borderlands movie.
Oh, right. Yeah. They didn't listen to our podcast last week. And it shows.
It shows. And also, okay, so the director... Jack Black is cast as Claptrap, which on the surface, fine, I guess.
Fine. Yeah. Fine. You'll live with it.
Yeah, for sure. In this article, I think it was Entertainment Weekly was where the story was posted. Or at least that's where I read it. The director, Eli Roth, I think is the director of the movie. And he said that Claptrap is by far the funniest character in the Borderlands series. So we had to have a funny actor play Claptrap.
Yikes.
Is there any fan of the Borderlands series that legitimately thinks Claptrap is the funniest character? Is there a single person who thinks that? That's like over the age of 12?
There's no way, right?
Now, don't get me wrong. I like Claptrap, but I like Claptrap as a heel. I like him because he is a sad robot who, like, is just so fucking annoying and everybody hates him. That's why I like him, because everybody hates him. I love that mission in Borderlands 2 where he throws the party and everyone's like, I'm not going to fucking Claptrap's party.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that mission. I love Claptrap's like deadpan humor and just I like him a lot as a character, but I like him because he fucking sucks. That's why I like him.
Not because he is the the fountain of comedy in the Borderlands universe.
No. So this dude has no idea. Like, this guy has just no read on the room. It's so clear to me that this movie is going to be such shit. Not only just from the casting, but because of his interpretation of the source material.
Yeah. We should have. I mean, we did know whenever Kevin Hart was cast as Roland, but like, it's just getting.
It's getting worse.
We thought we started at the bottom, but we didn't.
No. Now we're here. Thanks. I hate it.
I do too.
But if you like what you heard on this podcast, you can find us live on twitch.tv. Hopefully, in some universe, we don't have issues with a fucking frame rate every week. You can find us live on Twitch at 8:30 p.m. on Thursdays. You can also find us on YouTube. Go to quicktimeevent.net to find our YouTube channel. This podcast is also available on all of your favorite podcast services, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Josh Clasen. John is on Twitter at John Kamenko. Join our Discord server in the link below or in the Twitch panels. And I think that's about it. We'll be back with more Persona 4 Golden on Tuesday, and then back with the podcast on Thursday. Anything else for the good?
In memoriam.
In memoriam, yes. I think next week we will get a little bit of closure on Morooka, maybe.
We fucking better.
Maybe actually, probably not next week. I think next week we will start, and then the following week is where we will get some justice for Sensei.
Justice for Morooka.
If you like what you heard, give us a follow.
Everybody don't actually do this, but everybody go to your nearest river and throw up in it in his honor.
In his honor. That's what he would have wanted.
Make sure you're really drunk first.
And remember,
preferably be upriver from somebody else.
Right. And remember, a man is a thinking reed. And a non-thinking reed is just a reed. And with with those wise words, I wish you all a pleasant evening and a great weekend.
Goodbye, friends.